What up, people? Hey, I got something to say, and I definitely have something to say today. My guest coming on is Marcia Dawood. I met her. Yes, I met her. I know you're like, Sandy, how many amazing people did you meet, right? How many amazing people did you meet? And I'm just saying, a lot. I met a lot. Oh, hi, PM. How are you? I met a lot at Heroic Public Speaking. A lot. She's one that stood out of not just being great at doing keynote presentations, but she made it in. Oh,
My gosh, Instagram is just not being nice today. Just,
well, you're here and you look gorgeous. But if you didn't come in for a while, I was bragging about you.
I don't know what happened there. Here we go. Get some good lighting going. There we
Yeah,
go.
you look great. All right, so before we get into it, people, I got to tell them a little bit about you. All right, I told them how we met, Heroic Public Speaking, which was awesome. Not only a great presenter, but a great human being. So let me tell them what you do. Marcia is an investor and thought leader. In addition to her own investing, she is a venture partner with international firm, I love this name, Mindshift Capital, and a part of the investment committee for Next Wave Impact Fund. She is also a member of Golden Seeds, an angel group focused on investing in women-led companies. What? She currently serves as the chair of the board on Angel Capital Association, ACA. The ACA is the professional society for angel investors in the US and globally. Marcia also, where do you sleep? Marcia also is a founding member and current chair of the growing Women's Capital Group, building syndication and collaboration among U.S. investment groups focused, again, on women-led companies. Marcia, what the heck, woman? This is amazing. So we got to hit you right away because they wanted to know about this because I put it out to my peeps. Your big statement. Women are smart and more women should identify as investors. So they want to know, how many are investors now?
Oh, okay. Well, that's a really good question. So it depends on how you look at things, because back in the day, the only people that the SEC, the Securities and Exchange Commission, would really allow to be investors in private companies were people that were what is considered accredited. And an accredited investor doesn't mean that you have any special credentials or anything like that. It means that you have a certain amount of wealth or income. But the rules were changed in 2016, and now can invest in a private company through something called equity crowdfunding. So some people might have heard of GoFundMe, where
Yeah.
where the crowd kind of comes together to help a cause. Maybe somebody had something happen or whatever. Or you might have heard of Kickstarter, where you can buy a product early. You might get a discount. You're trying to get it to manufacturing, that kind of thing, right?
Yep.
That's crowdfunding in a way, but you're purchasing something. Equity crowdfunding is when you get to put in a little bit of money, and it can be as little as $50, and you get a little tiny bit of ownership of the company. So now anybody can be an investor in a private company if you go through the crowdfunding platforms. There's many out there.
It just changed in 2016. That was just like yesterday.
Yeah, exactly. And not that many people know about it yet because it took a long time for some of these platforms to become legitimate, understand what the rules really are, make sure that entrepreneurs felt safe, that investors felt safe. And now there's a couple platforms out there that are really good. They've incorporated all of the things that the SEC really wanted to make sure could protect the average person in the US, so which is what their job is, which they're very good at. And then we then could go ahead and help these companies. Because so for example, there's a company that I'm close to where I had the CEO come on my podcast. We'll talk about my podcast in a minute, but he is the founder of a company that's making peat moss to grow plants, but it's made out of recycled newspaper instead of out of peat. And what's cool about it is it means that the plant growers use about, much less water than they would use.
Yeah.
Well, he had all these customers and he needed to raise money. So he went on to this, one of the crowdfunding platforms called Republic, and he was able to raise $750,000 mostly from his customers.
Is that whack? I mean, that's awesome. It's awesome. So before we get into it, because, all right, ladies, calm down. Questions are rolling in. How to start a business, where to get money. All right, cool down. You had a big surprise this morning, didn't you? Some kind of bonus on your podcast, The Angel Next Door. Tell us about your surprise guest.
Yeah, so I have a podcast called The Angel Next Door because there are a lot of podcasts out there about how to build a business. Like Guy Raz has that podcast, about building your business, which is so cool. And I love listening to those about how these businesses were built. His podcast is called How I Built This. But I never really heard a lot about investors or how people became investors or got into it. So I thought it would be cool to put out a podcast that was about how people became angel investors. So we call it The Angel Next Door because nowadays, again, be an angel. You could be right next door to one.
Yeah. And who was your guest?
Oh, so my guest today, I did a bonus episode with US Congressman Byron Donalds from Florida. And he is awesome. And he is very into making sure that we can bridge the wealth gap. He wants to make sure that everybody has access to capital of all shapes and sizes. So I just loved talking to him. He was really a breath of fresh air.
What was the one thing you came away with after you got off the phone with him? Or the podcast?
Yeah, I think just how open he was to the idea that angel investing can help to get not just companies built, but create jobs. It can add to overall economic output of an entire community. It can help people to get access to opportunities that they might not be able to get access to. So a lot of times when people think about angel investing or even about companies that grow, they think about California, like Silicon Valley. They think Google, big companies like that, because the people who got really, really rich, who invested in those companies early, mostly were out in Silicon Valley. But nowadays, angel investing and investing in small companies can happen anywhere, in any part of the country. And in fact, there's more happening now in the in-between states. So you got California, you got New York, you got everything in between. Those in-between states are getting a lot more recognition.
So when you mentioned Kickstarter and GoFundMe, are those companies where you can only put $10 in, $20 in if you want? It doesn't matter the amount of money?
Okay, so GoFundMe is a way that you can help people. That's a way to crowdfund. You can use Kickstarter if you want to make a purchase. Equity crowdfunding is when you're trying to get ownership of a company. So
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, so this young lady, let's call her Sally. Sally wants to know, is she too young to start her own company? She's a junior in college. She has a great idea. She's always wanted to be an entrepreneur, but her mom keeps telling her, wait till you graduate. But she's bored and she wants to go now. P.S. Can Marcia talk to my mom?
That's funny. So what I would always encourage people to do is, if you think you have a great idea, and you can figure out a way to get it started, then that is the best thing to do. What too many people do is they think they need funding before they can ever get started. But the best companies that I've ever seen are the ones who get started and just bootstrap it for a while, because investors won't come in until you actually have a product or revenue or customers and things like that. So you have to start somewhere. And if it's something that you're passionate about and you think that you could, whatever the idea is, you could get customers and you could figure out how to make it a really good solution. Because here's the biggest problem I see. entrepreneurs think they have a great solution, but the problem isn't big enough. So people aren't going to change their behavior unless the problem is really bad, right? So they're not going to necessarily buy your widget to do whatever if they're already using something that solves that problem. You have to do something that is really, really, really getting to people, and you come up with a solution and everybody will want it. Does that make sense?
I'm thinking that I'm relating it to fitness, because people that really made huge changes is when it was drastic. You know what I mean? If they just was like a little bit, you ever hear people say, oh, I need to just lose 5 or 10 pounds, and they keep wanting to do it because the problem isn't big enough.
That's right.
And they get like a health scare, or they finally can't fit in any of their clothes. Is it the same way? Because that's the way my brain's working.
That's exactly right. That's absolutely right. Yep.
Why are we wired that way? Okay, that's a whole nother podcast.
That's a whole other topic, yeah.
Why we're wired that way. So I would really love for you to tell them a little bit about the story that you told us at Heroic Public Speaking about being able, because I never thought of it this way, to invest in companies that you're passionate about. Mm-hmm. And you told a story, if you could just give us a little bit about your mom.
Right. So my mom passed away, unfortunately, in 2018 from ALS, Lou Gehrig's disease. And there is just so little out there in the way of, well, there is no treatment and there's no cure for ALS. And it's devastating. I mean, it's devastating to families, and it's a terrible, terrible disease. It's a neurological disorder that prevents your brain from telling your body to move its muscles. So you start by being able to walk or talk, and then so I went looking I had already started to do some angel investing. So I went looking to see, is there anything that's not on the market yet that might be helpful? But it takes so long for a lot of these companies to get off the ground, especially when it comes to the medical field, because there's all kinds of FDA clearances and all that types of thing. But I did find ALS is a sister disease to Alzheimer's and Parkinson's, and we hear about those diseases a lot more. So I did come across a company pretty early on, the Golden Seeds, which you mentioned earlier. They're the angel group that invests only in women-led companies. They invested in a company called Cognition Therapeutics, and the chief scientist behind the science for this Alzheimer's drug is a woman, and she's amazing. Her name's Susan Catalano. And so I invested in that company, and so did a lot of other angels. It was a really great angel story because it was over $40 million that was raised by angels. And then other people came in and started to recognize, and they got a lot of grants from like the National Institute of Health. And I mean, it was really, really good. And then the company went public. So the drug isn't on the market yet, but they're in phase 2 trials right now, and it is showing promise, not just for Alzheimer's, but also now for Parkinson's, so much so that the Michael J. Fox Foundation gave them a grant a couple of years ago, but they got a second grant in the beginning of 2022. So progress being made out there, and a lot of this that company would have never gotten off the ground if it weren't for angels. So think about it. Yes, as an angel investor, I really would love to see some significant financial rewards. I'd like to be one of those people that finds the next Google, sure. But if you're doing angel investing because you think you're going to just hit the lottery, that's not the right reason. You really want to be doing this because it's something that you really care about and that you want to see change happen. So the fact that so many angels got together over it was probably at least a 5-year period and continued to invest in this company, it got them off the ground enough to be able to, if it does come to market and it really can help families who have Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, and hopefully then that science will translate into ALS down the road. I mean, I would feel like my mission in life was,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah.
So Marcia, you mentioned you were into angel investing before that. What got you into it? Like, why?
Yeah, so I met this woman named Catherine Mott when I lived in Pittsburgh, and she had started an angel group. Really, I mean, she's a pioneer. I mean, she started doing angel investing before it was really known about that much. And she was in Pittsburgh, and she kept seeing there was great technology that was coming out of Carnegie Mellon University, University of Pittsburgh. There's some great universities in the Pittsburgh area. And so she started an angel group, and I met her through some mutual friends. And she said, "Hey, I'd really love for you to come to one of our meetings." And at that point, I was like, "What's angel investing? I have no idea what this is."
Yeah.
And, but I started going to some of the meetings, and I was just totally fascinated by what I was seeing. It was something different all the time. And I had worked in corporate America for a long time, so I didn't realize what was going on out in the world. And entrepreneurship is just so fascinating. The things that people come up with, they're just so smart. And I sit there and think to myself, living under a rock, like I had no idea. It's really amazing.
I love the fact you said you were in corporate America. I didn't know that. What did you do? I just keep visioning you as like an investor. What did you do in corporate America?
Oh, I worked for Kaplan Education for about almost 17 years. So I was in sales and marketing for the first 10 years. And then I went after that. I did everything from like compliance work, managing. I was on the other side of Kaplan. So a lot of people know Kaplan for the test prep. I was in one of the areas that was working on after high school trades.
Did you like it?
I did. I loved it. I mean, I was very, very fortunate. Over my career, I really only had a handful of different bosses, and they were very good about helping me, be able to do different things, learn different things, move ahead. It was a really good experience.
Yeah, that's very fortunate, isn't it? Because you hear all the other end of it. All right, let's get into this. What's up? Women run majority of the time the household, but you say they lack the confidence about long-term investing for retirement and the kids, etc. Is that because for a long time it was just the man? I mean, what's going on here?
It is. As women, our traits are so valuable when it comes to things like we are very scrappy. We want to know all the information. We're very good with details. Of course, I'm stereotyping here, so please forgive me for anybody that including. But the one thing that, we hear it over and over again, like we're not very good at self-care. We put other people first. We haven't really done enough to figure out how to take care not just of our own physical health, but our own financial health as well. I can't tell you how many women, I'm talking super smart, successful women I've talked to in the last, 10 years, and they'll tell my husband really does all the investing things. Like I don't do that. And I want to say, well, yeah, but you could, and you should really get more involved with, what's happening. So, guys will literally, I've watched it happen. They'll be like texting each other. Hey, are you going to put in like 250K into this company? Meanwhile, like that's a crazy amount of money. Right. And then they'll be like, yeah, I'm in.
Yeah.
And then, I went out with my friend Heather Henyon, and we were raising money for Mindshift Capital. And, we were like, that was not our experience. We were not getting people just texting each other. That didn't want to work.
That's true.
Yeah, it doesn't work like that in real life. So I just feel like women, they don't necessarily identify as an investor. And even me, who has been doing angel investing, like it wouldn't be the first thing, before I really started with HPS and getting more on social media, I wouldn't even have necessarily said, oh yeah, I'm going to say I'm an investor, because it's just not something that women naturally say. But if you go back and think about how long women have actually been working in the workforce, it hasn't been for hundreds of years like men. We've been in corporate America and trying to get equal positions. Even still, women are paid less than men in a lot of cases, right? So we still haven't found equality in like regular life, let alone in this investing world. So I just feel like it's going to get there, but we
Yeah.
have to be talking about it to let women know, like, hey, you are smarter, way, 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 way smarter than you think you are. Because the women are the ones in the meetings that I've been in, ones asking the best questions. They're the ones who are thinking, wait a minute, I think that this might, need this, or, they're the ones thinking like 3-4 steps ahead. And women and female entrepreneurs, man, they are proven to be. There are studies out there. There was a study by a group called First Round Capital. The companies that they funded that were female founded, they looked at their performance over the ones that were male founded teams. The women performed 63% better. So you can't tell me that it's that women don't get results. Oh no, women get results. But it's almost like we have to give them more opportunity, more confidence, more of those things.
Yeah.
They have the ability to be able to, be successful.
I'm laughing, and it's not funny, but I just got an email, or I'll call her Betty Boop. And Betty Boop said, again, can Marcia, it was funny, she was building on that woman who wanted you to talk to her mother. She said, how about talking to my husband?
Oh
She's
yeah,
like,
that before. Yeah. Yes, I have.
She's like, get this, ready? Betty Boop. I make 30% more than my husband. I have been for 5 years. Yet, he says to me, don't worry. Can't make this shit up. Don't worry, honey. I got the investment part. And she says, please don't get the wrong idea. We don't even know who he is. He's a great guy. He's a great husband. But I feel as if he's just been doing it and doesn't think I have the ability to help.
Right.
Her suggestion, she wants to know, she was thinking that she would just, like at the end, she has so much money that they save. She would just move forward and say to him, how about I just take this little amount and start investing and see what you think? I don't know.
Go. Yeah, I love that idea. Just getting more involved in and having the conversation, just have conversations about what are you investing in. I mean, early stage investing, angel investing, it should never be more than maybe 5% of your overall net worth. I mean, most people work with, financial planners who have them investing in, the stock market or mutual funds or whatever people, want to invest the majority of their wealth in. But, you could have a little bit. And now with the way that crowdfunding is, you really could invest like $200 and, try it. And are you really putting like your entire, like all your kids' college savings at risk? No,
I didn't know that until you brought that up about that you could do small amounts. Even I thought you only, you had to have X amount. And then through crowdfunding, somebody sent me a children's book I really believed in. And I'm like, wait a minute. You could give $100, $200 and just feel like you participated, And I did not know that. I was like most people thinking, well, just like you invest in the start, you want to have this amount of money, but it's not true.
Mm-mm. And in a lot of cases for entrepreneurs, because I know you probably have a couple entrepreneurs that listen, or people who are looking to start a business.
A lot.
These platforms can be really good to fundraise. You do need to read every single bit of the fine print, though. I'm not kidding. Like every bit of it, because you have to know what you're agreeing to, and you can't be raising other money at the same time you're raising on these platforms. I mean, there's lots of rules. But especially if you have a product where you already have some customers, your customers are going to be your best people to go to. Crowdfunding, no matter what it is, if you were like trying to help somebody who had medical bills and you were on GoFundMe, or you had a children's book and you had that on Kickstarter, or you went and tried to do equity crowdfunding. It's not, if you build it, they're coming. No, you have to build it yourself. You have to start with your people. You can't just go on these things and think all these investors are there waiting. No, they're not. They don't care about you because they don't know to care about you yet. You have to tell the story. You have to start to get the interest. You have to get other people to come to the table first. It's kind of like with anything. Nobody's going to buy your product if you make it, if you don't tell them or get some of your closest friends, and then you just keep expanding. You start with your inner circle, and then you get more and more and more people to like it.
By the way, your friend and ours, Sue Baguette, making a statement here. We need to, yeah.
I love it. I love her. Yeah. Baguette. Startups are an amazing source of innovation and economic growth. Yeah, she's absolutely right.
Yeah. And so for those of you who can't see it, I love the fact that she's saying invest in products and services you want to see in the future. Makes sense.
Mm-hmm. If we really want a voice, if we want to see that, we're getting better things for our climate, for our health, for our children, we have a voice. We can vote with our dollars. Meaning like we could buy or not buy something. We could invest in something. You could even go on to, so Sue and I have a friend, her name's Janine Furpo, and she started a group, she's co-founder with a couple other people. It's called Invest for Better. And she also wrote a book, and her book is amazing. Maybe if Sue hears me, she'll put the link in the chat to Janine's book. And she basically is saying, look, you can you can align your money with your values. We don't have to, and angel investing could be a part of that, of course, but you could do things like just where you shop. You could start to figure out who are the people, what are the women-owned businesses in my neighborhood? What restaurants do I want to go to that have a female chef or a person of color? Really get to know where you're spending your dollars. And also get to know, you could say, hey, you know what? I don't want to invest in a certain company, a stock on the stock market because they do things with fossil fuels or they're, they don't have equal pay.
Gotcha. I got you.
You know what I'm saying? So there's lots of ways that you can align your money with your values.
I was thinking about how people met me, many of my friends, once I was established and had the health clubs, and they just assumed I came for money. I didn't. But when you were talking about, people investing once you're already established, well, I start not thinking of this. I didn't know it was going to work out this way, but I started training myself. I built a private training company myself. Then I sold that company to another trainer. And then I took that money and money I had saved for an investment and wanted to open up a health club. Then I got two of my clients actually, who were willing to invest in my business because they saw I already had a track record. And then that built on somebody wanting to help me with another club and another club. But just like you were talking about, Marcia, I had just started and was very scrappy and knew I loved this, and it just built and built and built. And then my investors, who were my clients, said, ooh, this girl is a hard worker, and she's so passionate about what she's doing. We're going to invest in whatever she's doing.
That's awesome. Wow.
You know what I'm saying? It's the same thing. I didn't go out looking for capital to open up a health club. And it was tough back then for a woman to do that and get space. I started small, and then it just built on itself, doing what I love doing. So it's the same thing.
The best way. That is how entrepreneurship really grows. You start with what you love, you build it a little bit, yep. And then
that's exactly what happened. All right, so we're out of time here. And I know we don't have the right background, but what you don't know about Marcia, she's a rapper. And what I did know is that you also had somewhat of a career in singing. I don't know, somebody told me that. And I didn't know that because I'm like,
I got asked to sing in a lot of weddings and stuff like that. So then, and then sometimes they'd pay me to do that. So, but
so we're going to include the link, right, for this wrap.
yep.
Because
It's
isn't
on.
it about angel investing? I don't know.
Yes, it is. It's so basically, I'll just tell a little bit of the story of how I wrote it. I saw the Snow White versus Elsa rap battle on YouTube, which is very funny. So you should watch it if you haven't. And I thought to myself, I could write a rap battle. What would I write a rap battle about? And then I thought, oh, I should do something like related to angel investing, but it was very specific, like about convertible notes and price rounds, which people would be like, what's a convertible note? I don't even know what you're talking about. And but then I said, okay, if I go a little bit, different from that and just make it a little simpler, how about like angel investing versus venture capitalist? So then I wrote the song pretty fast, and then I was like, well, I'm not sure really what to do with it. So I would sing it to people every once in a while, and they would be like, oh, that's really funny. You should do a video. And then I was like, okay. So I record myself in two different, outfits. And then one of our good buddies from HPS, Lou Bartone, helped me put the backgrounds together. And
Yeah.
I kind of drove him crazy for a little while. He was probably like, I'm so sick of this song, because he hasn't listened to it so many times. And because I'd be like, you can't put this background over here and then this background over here. And, but we had a blast. We had an absolute blast.
It is hysterical. I love it. I was cracking up. I was peeing myself. I was in the coffee house watching it. And I was like, that's Marcia. That's awesome. I didn't even know she could sing, let alone rap. So, got to check it out. All right. We got to go. Sad to say, we can't get all these questions in. I got a few. But how can they reach you if, one, they want to find out more about angel investing or book you for a keynote?
They can go to my website, www.marciadawood.com. Pretty easy.
Easy peasy. Easy peasy. All right. What's coming up in the next year? Anything new and fun going on? Where are you going?
Let's see. I don't know. I don't have any big trips planned right now, but I am a finalist for TEDx Charlotte in September, so we'll see. Watch it.
I'm excited for you. No, wait, did you speak? No. Greece? Where were you?
Oh, I was in Greece. Yes, I was in Greece in June.
And did you do the rap battle there?
I played it and they loved it. They liked it better. The Europeans liked it better than the people I played it for here in the US. So I like them. I was like, it was very fun.
All right, but hey, I got something to say. Come on. Marcia had something to say and then some. We would really appreciate it if you share it, like it, and rate it. And don't worry if you miss some of it. It's being recorded, and I'm going to put it on all platforms for you to share around. Marcia, thank you so much for being on. I really do appreciate it.
Oh, I loved it. Thank you for having me.
Toodles, everybody. Have fun.
Thanks, Sue, for putting the links.
Yay.